Hi, it's John, Chief Juicer at BrainJuicer, and this is your second BrainJuicer Bite. Just named, I have to thank, by our guest speaker tonight, Kevin McFarthing, who used to work at Reckitt's very successfully before starting his own business, and he is now an innovation fixer and a supreme one at that, and very creative since he's just given us the name for these little mini juice casts, if you like. Kevin, hi.
Hi, John. Thank you for that fantastic introduction.
What did I miss out? I must have missed something out, in the potted CV.
Well, there are many things that you've missed out, but none that can actually match the introduction that you've already given me. So let's stick with that.
All right, fantastic. Well, look, I thought we'd just quick chat really, but innovation, it is your chosen subject, and something you know an awful lot about. I wrote this article, Marketing Has Been the Death of Innovation, which was a deliberately provocative challenge, to big companies not really being able to create new categories. Lots of incremental innovation, fine, but not new categories of brand, which actually pretty much created the big company that they are. So originally they did manage to create a new category, and that often was the basis of the company that we know and love. And anyway, I was just pointing out that they really rather struggled with that sort of innovation, and I know you've got some thoughts on it all.
Yeah, I think your overall proposition is correct. And I was trying to think about, well, why should that be so? And one of the first things is brands. Now, obviously, we all love brands. They are the raison d'etre of consumer goods companies. And quite rightly, every brand has a footprint. That's the framework for what the brand can say and do and be. And it also provides a framework for innovation. So one of the first questions that any potential innovation is challenged with is, does it fit with the brand? And if it doesn't fit, then it's very lucky to survive. And then if it fits, it has to then fit with the market research testing paradigm, because people now have a fantastic way to generate innovation within brands, and it involves, as you know much better than I do, a whole series of qualitative and quantitative testing. And if it doesn't have a benchmark either within the category or within the company, it will really struggle. So, in that sense, I would agree with your proposition that marketing science has killed a lot of innovation. I wouldn't say it's killed big innovation, it's killed big innovation outside current brands.
Presumably the power of the brand footprint is because all good marketeers have been, kind of shown and taught that it's much more cost effective to do innovation from within a brand than to create a new brand. And my observation is that new categories require a new brand. So there's almost like a double barrier to entry for big companies to embrace new categories because they have to also embrace launching a new brand.
I think that's correct because you can also see examples when companies have tried to bring a new category under an existing brand. And a fascinating example at the moment that I'm interested in is Dove for Men, which
Mm.
has a fantastic product rationale. Men surely need moisturizing as much as women. But the thing that strikes me about Dove for Men is it seems to be a stretch too far based on where the core equity lies with women. And I'm sure there are plenty of other examples where people have been so excited about a product innovation and have tried to force fit it into a brand, and would have been much better off picking a new brand to develop the business.
Well, the Dove one's a great example because the whole insight behind Dove is for years and years, the beauty industry has almost been making women feel bad about themselves for their own commercial end. Wouldn't it be great if there was a brand that celebrated women as they are? That does not appeal to men. I mean, it really is not a male proposition, is it? We do not
Like,
feel particularly afflicted by the beauty industry.
and I think that's right. And I think it's taken almost rational brand elements which transfer, but haven't transferred the emotional brand elements either.
Yeah. So don't put your money in that one. But what are the other? I mean, there are probably lots, but what are the other problems do you think, when it comes to really, that kind of category, new category, blue ocean type innovation?
I think a lot of it requires personal bravery and personal risks because companies, from a marketing perspective, are almost all organized by brand in the kind of companies we're talking about here. So it takes a very brave individual to try and champion the generation of a new brand when, if they're engaged in a marketing career which has assignment changes every 18 months to 3 years. So that personal bravery is very important. And you can look at some examples like the joint venture between Procter& and Gamble and Clorox with the Glad brand in the US, or Nespresso, which I think is a fascinating example, which is a completely
Yeah.
new business, completely new brand from Nestle. But I'm sure the person who 20 years ago or so said, why don't we make machines and develop a new brand for smart coffee in pods, which, by the way, might cannibalize our own business. Okay, I'm caricaturing it a little bit there, but it's essentially, I'm sure that somebody within Nestle was extremely brave and visionary and felt extremely passionate about the Nespresso opportunity and delivered
Yeah,
it.
someone asked me yesterday, actually, I was running a workshop and they said, do you know any large FMCG companies that you would say was just head and shoulders above the others in terms of, this sort of radical innovation? And I have to say my answer was pretty much no. They are all actually banks in disguise. They just happen to make their yield from products rather than money. And they're really in the risk business. And that's why incremental innovation is much less risky. And they're not really looking for 20, 100% kind of increments. They're looking for 6%. So generally speaking, I'm afraid FMCG is just, banks in disguise. But then suddenly it occurred to me that a company like Ferrero actually has introduced some really, rather innovative, chocolate products and new brands to go with them. But they possess something that not many of these other companies do, to your point, which is they have still the founder of the company leading the company. He's the inventor. Mr.
Yes.
Ferrero actually turns up at the labs and says, I've come up with a new chocolate, and therefore he has the bravery that you're talking about, the vision and the long-termness that I'm afraid is pretty absent, with career marketeers.
And I think in the case of private companies, if it goes wrong and it's been led from the top, then it's very clear where the responsibility lies. And and I'm not trying to make that a kind of punitive sense because that's also something which is a big issue in innovation circles at the moment. How do you actually learn from things that don't work rather than look on them negatively? Um,
And
but sorry, go on.
and what would be your prescription? I mean, I know there's no perfect prescription, but is there one or two things that, knowing everything that you know and having worked in one of the most successful, kind of FMCGs with Reckitt, and now seeing it from the outside, is there anything, one or two things that you would say, well, look, I really think you should embrace this or do this?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to acknowledge the really good innovation that does go on within brands, and and as you provocatively call them, the banks. They're actually doing a lot of good work, and some of the product launches that take place, for example, with Reckitt Benckiser with the launch of Sell It Bang, or with Procter& and Gamble the launch of the spin brush, they require quite a degree of bravery as well, and vision from the top. But I think if we look down at the creation of new categories, there are certain practical things that need to happen, and this has implications for the research and testing business as well. Is how do you actually transfer your vision to consumers, and how do you do that at the appropriate point? So forget concept testing until you've actually got something in your hands that is close to what you might eventually launch.
So I know you're a big fan of prototyping. That's really, make it
Yes.
real, make it as real as you can, even if it's, very, very kind of rough and crude, because people can react to that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There are lots of product categories where a concept test is perfect. You're 95% close to what you're going to give to the consumer, and the consumer understands that. But prototyping for anything radical, I think, is fundamental. Is absolutely essential. The second, and this may be a challenge for your industry, is how can you get some sense of the emotion that will eventually be created by your product um, earlier into the cycle? The prototype will help, but you need more than that. I'm thinking of an example like the iPod, which is trotted out time and time again. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of emotion and deep involvement with that.
Well, the
How?
one technique I have seen work well is that you invent a news story effectively from the future,
Yeah,
and you invent a newspaper story of this product that's already been successful, let's say in Japan, and so you get something of the flavor of the excitement of it, the success of it. So it captures the flavor, but it's very difficult. But Kevin, look, I think it sounds like a good challenge because I don't know of any research technique that can successfully predict the success of new category brands. I say it that starkly. And
mm,
so there is an open invitation, a challenge that Kevin has presented to us in the research industry, which we need to rise to, frankly, and cut and see if we can turn prototyping into an art form. And if we ever get an answer, I'll let you know, Kevin.
likewise, I will do the
Uh,
same.
but look, many thanks. It's for our quick chat, BrainJuicer Byte chat. Thank you for that one, Kevin. And I'll catch up with you soon. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot, John. Enjoyed it. Thank you.